Dr. Birdie, you are live.
Thank you, and good evening, everybody. It is 7 o'clock, and my name is Neil Birdie, and I am honored and privileged to be the principal here at Carusi Middle School, and I would like to formally welcome all of you to our 5th grade information night. Our 5th grade information night at the middle level is typically a well-attended event with lots of information and an opportunity for us to share a little bit about the climate, the culture, and the rich history of tradition here at Carusi. Regretfully, we cannot be together in person in the building this evening, but nonetheless, we hope that we've assembled an evening for you all that will be informative, that will give you information, and will help you learn a little bit more about our school, our teachers, and even our families. Carusi, when I think of Carusi, I think of the word family. It is a place where family certainly runs deep. Carusi is a family affair in many ways. We have many teachers who grew up in town and staff members who attended either Cherry Hill East or Cherry Hill West, and some of which who even attended Carusi or maybe even Brainerd. We've got a number of Mustangs on with us right now and future Mustangs who have had brothers and sisters and cousins come through our wonderful school. And you may have even, moms and dads and parents and guardians in the audience, you may have even attended Carusi or Brainerd. So welcome to all. We've got an expert panel assembled tonight. And the real spirit of this panel is to make sure that we can give you information, we can answer questions, we can talk about what 6th grade here at Carusi looks like currently, what it'll look like in the fall, and really start to think about the next 3 years of your middle school career. Before we do that, and before I introduce the panel, we typically get a list of questions that we know that are predictable, that all families are interested in having answers to. That regardless of the year, regardless of the school, the elementary school you come from, there are a number of things that all parents, all families, all students want to know, and those things don't change from year to year. Families want to hear about world language because it occurs every day. They want to hear about sports. They want to hear from our school nurse. They want to hear about our musical programs and our arts programs and our exploratory programs. So what we did, we took the liberty, before we open up the panel for live Q&A, which we will do very shortly, we took the liberty of putting together a video in order to really have some information front-loaded about all of the questions we're already predicting, the things that you want to know. So I'm going to click play on a video that we've created for you. And when we're finished with that short video, we'll come back live and we'll do our Q&A via our text chat. So feel free to start sending those questions in right now if you have them. Hopefully the video will answer some of these questions, but in case it doesn't, we're here for you to make sure that the night can still be informative as you get your questions answered about being a 6th grader at Carusi.
Hi, my name is Mrs. Augustin, and I'm a Spanish teacher with the Carusi World Language Department. At Carusi, you will choose either French or Spanish to take all 3 years. You have your world language class every day. When it comes time to choose your language at the end of elementary school, please make sure you get your selections in on time.
Good evening, 5th graders and your families. My name is Rich D'Alessandro, and I've been the proud athletic director of Carusi Middle School since 2005. During that time, we've been blessed with tremendous athletes, excellent supportive families, tremendous coaching, and great success in the field of athletics. We would be very pleased if you would join us as a student athlete to continue on that great tradition. I'm going to spend a couple minutes tonight going over our athletic program and giving you some important details about athletics at Carusi. The Carusi Middle School athletic year is broken up into 3 seasons: fall, winter, and spring. We have the same teams that they have at Beck Middle School and Rosa Middle School. All our teams have tryouts, and we have caps on the maximum number of participants. Our teams are interscholastic, meaning we play other schools throughout South Jersey in our sporting events. Next, we will go through our seasons. Our fall season takes place in September and October. In the fall, we have A teams and B teams in boys soccer, girls soccer, and field hockey. And we also have a co-ed cross-country squad. The fall season gives tremendous opportunities for 6th graders to become integrated into the school, make new friends, and have a great sports experience. Our winter season takes place from November to February, featuring boys and girls basketball teams with A teams and B teams. We also have a wrestling squad, a cheer squad, and a bowling squad. Wonderful opportunities during the cold winter months to get indoor athletic participation. Our spring season takes place from March to May. We have a baseball program with 2 teams. Baseball is the only sport at Carusi where 6th graders cannot participate due to the differences in size between the Little League field that 6th graders play on and the Babe Ruth field that 7th graders and above play on. Softball, we feature an A and a B team, and we have a co-ed track squad. We are pleased to supplement our interscholastic teams with intramurals. Intramurals take place amongst Carusi students at Carusi Middle School after school hours. We are pleased to feature open gym basketball, which takes place in the fall and spring, volleyball with instruction that takes place in the fall and spring, tennis that takes place out on our courts in the fall and spring, a winter dance team, which supports our cheer program, and we are also open to suggestions from students and staff members. If there's a group of students interested in doing a sport, I will find a staff member to do it and a location for it to take place. If you have any questions about our sports program, you can email me at the email address shown, and I'd be more than happy to get back to you. As you can see, I have an array of some of the teams that I've coached over the years in girls soccer and baseball. And as you can see, great student athletes, smiles on their faces, proud to participate, wearing jerseys that say Carusi. It is my hope that you too will one day be wearing a Carusi jersey and representing the fine Mustang tradition. Thank you so much for your attention and for your attendance tonight at 5th grade information night. It has been my pleasure to talk to you about Carusi athletics.
Hi everyone, my name is Perry Barclay, and I'm here tonight to share with you a bit of information about our Carusi music program. The Carusi music program is one of the largest student groups on campus, consisting of over 300 students. Our program consists of the chorus, led by Mr. Kane, the orchestra, led by Mrs. Seacrest, and the bands, led by myself. Our program has been one of the most successful programs in the region over the years, and our success has been achieved by creating a strong, friendly environment in our classrooms while also pushing the kids very, very hard to reach their potential. Band, orchestra, and chorus are curricular courses at Carusi Middle School. The classes take place during the school day, and each student attends one group lesson each week as well as one large group rehearsal. The rehearsals are during the advisory period each morning. As our concerts approach, we have some after-school rehearsals. These, however, do not conflict with athletics or other activities after school, as the majority of our students also do participate in athletics, clubs, and various things after school. Most of our students are in their second or third year of playing. However, we do offer beginner classes for students in their very first year of playing, and we encourage students to start these classes in sixth grade, as it's much easier to start in sixth grade as it is later. So even if the students are on the fence, we strongly encourage them to try it out and begin with us in sixth grade beginner classes. Registration for our band, orchestra, and chorus programs are done via our websites listed below. And if your student did participate in elementary school last year or the year before or both, you will also receive an email in the spring inviting you to register your student for next year's groups. We really hope your students will continue to be a part of band, orchestra, and chorus next year at Carusi, and we hope to see them grow and meet them as soon as we can. So please contact us at any time with any questions at the email listed below, and take care. Thank you very much.
Hello, incoming fifth grade students, parents, and guardians. The Cherry Hill Middle School nurses would like to welcome you to middle school. This short presentation is designed to provide you with information regarding two important requirements for incoming sixth graders. First, the Tdap and meningococcal vaccines are required for sixth grade entry. This applies to students when they turn 11 years of age and are entering sixth grade. Proof that the vaccines were given will be required by Monday, August 15th, 2022. Talk to your child's healthcare provider now to arrange for an appointment. Students who will not turn 11 by the start of sixth grade are required to provide proof of an appointment from the child's healthcare provider. This appointment should take place within 2 weeks of the child turning 11. Second, sports physicals are required for participation in any school sport, including tryouts. Talk to your child's healthcare provider to arrange for a physical. Sports physical forms may be turned in to your elementary school nurse now. Physicals completed during the summer months can be mailed or dropped off at the middle school your child will be attending. Forms are due no later than Monday, August 15, 2022. Please take a moment to check out the nurse websites for more detailed information. The websites can be found under quick links on your child's middle school's homepage. Please feel free to reach out with any questions or concerns.
Good evening. My name is Jonathan Hunt, and I'm the music exploratory teacher here at Carusi Middle School. We would like to take a minute to talk about physical education and exploratory classes within the student's schedule as incoming sixth graders. Exploratory classes and physical education alternate each day throughout the year. Where PE and health will remain constant every other day, the exploratory class that the student has will change with the marking period that they are in. Students will rotate during exploratory periods through music, STEAM, communications, and art, one subject per marking period. During the physical education periods, students will focus on fitness and an elective sports program as well as health classes. If you have any questions, Ms. Schaefer will be available tonight during the question and answer session after this video. Thanks so much.
Hello, my name is Justine, and I am from Thomas Paine Elementary School. Here are my classmates from Carusi telling you why you should come to our middle school.
Hello, my name is AJ, and I go to Carusi Middle School. One of the things that I love about Carusi is the guidance counselors are so comforting, and the teachers will make you laugh every day, and the sports are really good.
Hi, I'm Lucy. I came here from Thomas Paine Elementary, and one of my favorite things about Carusi is probably the opportunities you get in the clubs and extracurriculars. It makes it just a much more enjoyable experience in middle school, and yeah.
All right, welcome back. I know that was a lot of information. It probably makes sense that I at least say at this point that in case there was something in the presentation that you need more clarification on, or you just sort of tuned in a little bit late and missed something, our entire fifth grade information night is being recorded right now and will be available to watch or rewatch on the Carusi website as early as tomorrow morning. So if you miss something, or if you have the need for some clarity, you want to find out a little bit more about one of the programs spoken about in the video, you can certainly go back at your leisure and take a look and start to get those questions answered. And really, that's a great segue into our live panel Q&A for the night. Because again, as I mentioned earlier, we have an expert panel with us ready to answer all of your questions regarding Carusi, whether it's about our amazing character ed program, where we focus on social and emotional learning, and even have been recognized for that by being a state and national school of character, whether it's about our academic program, our curricula, our classes, whether it's about our amazing sports or arts or extracurricular, co-curricular opportunities. We've got a lot to offer, and I think we've got the right group here to sort of answer those questions for you. So before we get started, because I already see that questions are definitely rolling in, I want to make sure that I introduce our celebrity panel tonight. So what I'll do is I'll just mention them by name and then give them a chance to greet you themselves. First, we have Michelle Smith. Ms. Smith is the assistant principal for the incoming sixth grade class.
Hi, fifth grade families. My name is Michelle Smith, and I look forward to seeing you as future Mustangs, and I will be your sixth grade assistant principal. Can't wait to meet you.
Next, we have Martha Brown. Mrs. Brown is the incoming sixth grade counselor.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. Thank you for coming tonight, and welcome to Carusi. We look forward to having you as future Mustangs.
Next up, we have Abby Morris. Mrs. Morris is the incoming sixth grade case manager and works on our child study team.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome, Mustangs. Looking forward to welcoming you to Carusi.
Next up, we have Connie Spencer. Mrs. Spencer is our student assistance coordinator. She works in our guidance suite, helping to provide and offer support to our 6th, 7th, and 8th graders.
Good evening, 5th graders and your families. I'm so happy to be part of your evening tonight, and I am Mustang proud every day and can't wait to greet you in September.
Next up, we have Alfred Corona. Mr. Corona is a 6th grade social studies teacher. He also runs our school's green team, an environmental club, and also is the intramural tennis supervisor.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome. I can't wait to meet all the incoming 5th graders. Pleased to meet everyone.
Next, we have Deb Jacobs. Ms. Jacobs is a 6th grade math teacher and also is the advisor for student government.
Hello, 5th grade families. I hope you're all having a wonderful Wednesday. I'm looking forward to seeing our future Mustangs next year.
All right. And fresh off of her recognition at the Board of Ed meeting last night, we have Bridget Schaefer. Mrs. Schaefer is a PE teacher, also a coach here. She coaches field hockey and basketball, and her field hockey team was actually recognized last night for their South Jersey Middle School Championship.
Good evening, everyone. It is an exciting week for me and Carusi, and hopefully we'll be joined by some new Carusi athletes who will join us on the court and on the fields, and we're really excited to have you here tonight.
And last but certainly not least, coming off of a late night himself last night, is Perry Barclay. Mr. Barclay is our band director, and he and his colleagues put on an amazing show last night in the West Auditorium that featured our band, our orchestra, and our chorus.
Hey, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Birdie. My name is Perry Barclay. I teach instrumental music at Carusi. I'm here to answer any questions that anyone may have regarding band at Carusi, but also orchestra on behalf of Mrs. Seacrest, and questions you may have about chorus on behalf of the chorus teacher, Mr. Kane.
All right, so questions are starting to come in. I know Ms. Smith was starting to potentially group some questions. Mrs. Smith, anything jump out right off the bat? Is there any one area or topic where we have a lot of folks with questions that we might be able to start with?
There seems to be a lot of questions about clubs and offerings for sixth graders or at Carusi. So if we can maybe have Mr. Corona talk a little bit about the clubs that he offers. Ms. Jacobs mentioned a little bit about the club. So it looks like a lot of families are wondering, what clubs do we offer here at Carusi Middle School?
All right, I guess I'll start. At Carusi Middle School, I work in conjunction with Mr. Segrist. We run the environmental club, garden club at Carusi. We primarily work out of the courtyard. Mr. Segrist is a science teacher who loves to incorporate a lot of earth sciences and knowledge with our students. We work primarily during fall and spring. During winter, during the cold months, we take a little hiatus because there's very little work we can do outside, but it is open to everyone. We normally meet once a week, twice a week, some at times, depending on the weather and staffing personnel. There are other clubs that we do offer that I'll just briefly mention, and maybe Mrs. Jacobs will be able to speak on more. There are clubs. There is chess club at Carusi. There is a Latino club that just started this year. There is art club. And I believe off the top of my head, that's what I have. There may be more, but you guys can go ahead and fill out more, or give out more information, Ms. Jacobs.
Yeah, we also have a STEAM or robotics club. We have a yearbook club where you can take photos for the yearbook, or can also help with the layout and organizing the yearbook. We have newspaper where we create the hoofbeat for the Mustangs here at Carusi to be able to read. I think it comes out either biannually or even just annually, depending on the year that we're having. We also did have students request and start a new club this year called the Pride Club, which is embracing our LGBTQ plus community. We also have student council, which I am the supervisor of, where we meet and kind of discuss ways that we can help improve the school, any good deeds or ways that we can participate in our community as well. And I think that's it. I don't know. You mentioned tennis also in the spring.
Peer leaders also. Peer leaders is also offered.
So
I think the way I would best summarize clubs, because I have to break in here because there are so many opportunities for students after school. We recognize that middle years and really 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, there's a tremendous amount of growth and development that occurs in the lives of our middle schoolers. And we fully recognize that part of that is exploring your identity, figuring out who you are, what things you're passionate about, whether it's sports or whether it's playing the clarinet or whether it's acting in our spring musical or being in one of our many clubs. I would say in general, as long as there is a number of students, a few students, even a handful that are interested in something that they're passionate about, that they're interested in, and we've got an adult who will supervise them. Just about every club is possible here because really our clubs are driven by student interest and student need. So thank you, Mr. Corona, Ms. Jacobs, and Mrs. Brown. I think that's a pretty good look at what we offer, with the notion that we're willing to offer anything where an interest lies. So great question from the audience.
There was a question that I think came out from everyone talking about the clubs is there a drama club? And yes, there is a drama club. They've been practicing for our spring musical, which is Bye Bye Birdie this year. So our Carusi Mustangs will be putting on a live show this year, which we're very excited about. So drama club is another big club that really enrolls a lot of students. We get great student participation, even if there's no talent as far as acting and singing. We always need behind the scenes people for lighting and for stage crew. So there's plenty of opportunity to join for Drama Club.
All right, I've got a couple here that I'm going to just take really quick. There's a question about redistricting. I will say that obviously that's something that I personally and we as a staff are watching carefully. We're viewing that closely. There is much discussion at the board level at this point about redistricting and what options may be available. At this point, since no decisions have been made definitively about next year, I'm not sure that I should speculate about class size. I can tell you right now with our 6th grade classes, and Mrs. Brown, I'm going to ask her to help me in a minute. I feel like the class sizes this year are really optimal. I think in many of our 6th grade classes, we are around 20 students for our house courses. On team courses include social studies, math, language arts, and science. I think those classes in some cases are even lower than 20. And for our world language, PE, and exploratory, those are a little larger. I want to say, Mrs. Schaefer, maybe in the 25 to 30 range.
Yes, only at the 8th grade level are we even close to 30. 6th and 7th grade are still in that 22 to 26 range.
Perfect.
Yes, and in the core classes as well, I think you're accurate, around 20. The math classes maybe a little smaller, but in whole in 6th grade around about 20 to 24. Mr. Corona and Mrs. Jacobs may be able to confirm that.
Yeah, it all just depends on if we get new students, but that's where it started in the beginning of the year, and it's gotten a little bit higher just depending on the number of new students we get.
All right, I'm going to do a couple more quick that I see here in the chat, and then I'll have Ms. Smith see if there are a couple that she can group together. Right now, school starts in the morning at 8 a.m. So we are fully staffed by 7:45, and we start to serve breakfast at 7:45. Teachers are in the hallways, adults are at bus duty and morning drop-off at that time, and students start to arrive around 7:45. Our cafeteria is open and serving breakfast then, and teachers are in classrooms ready to receive children and supervise hallways. And then our first academic class period starts at 8 a.m. And our end of the day bell rings at 3 p.m. There's a question about orientation. So there will be an orientation in the summer. We always do a new student orientation in August. That's open to all incoming 6th graders. We also open that up to our new families that are new to the district. So perhaps you've got a 7th or an 8th grader, but it's your first time at Carusi. So that orientation is typically held in person at Carusi in August. I would keep an eye on the district social media and the Carusi webpage, as we will certainly publish that information as it becomes available. Also, your email address in Genesis, as I typically push email blasts out in that fashion. But I know that some of you are excited to hear more about Carusi sooner than that, and you don't want to wait until August, and I totally appreciate that. So I know Mrs. Brown has some plans for the spring with actually reaching out to our elementary schools and doing some more intimate meetings with potential future Mustangs. So Mrs. Brown, do you want to talk about that?
Sure. In the spring, and sometimes pushing more towards the end of the school year, we have traditionally gone out, actually myself and one of my co-counselors in the office, and we'll go out and we'll visit each of our sending elementary schools and visit with the 5th graders and give them an overview of Carusi and what to expect, and as new 6th grade students. And we go over all kinds of good information, much of what was covered in our presentation here this evening, but the kids usually have some more detailed questions, a lot about lockers and specific to their everyday school life and such. So we go out and kind of personalize it and speak to the 5th graders at their sending elementary schools and try to prepare them over into Carusi. We are hopeful that we'll be able to go out in person this year. So that is my expectation, especially since we're going to be headed towards the later spring to do that.
So there was a specific question that would be a good question for Mr. Barclay. And if any of you had the opportunity to see the concert last night, one of the questions asked, is there an opportunity for guitar? So anyone who saw the concert last night would know that there's a really great opportunity for guitar, but I'll let Mr. Barclay share a little bit about that.
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Smith. So there's really two answers to that question. So the first answer is, I'll speak for Mr. Hunt. Each student each year participates in general music for a quarter of the year. And one of Mr. Hunt's instruments that he teaches all students is beginner guitar, and the kids absolutely love his class, and especially the segment he does on guitar. So first of all the students, even non-music students with no experience, get to experience that. The second question regarding guitar, within our music program, we have two bands and a jazz band. Within the bands, guitar is not an instrument that is in a typical school ensemble. So we're talking bands, we have flutes, clarinets, trumpets, saxophones, horn, baritone, percussion. And guitar is not typically part of that. We do have a jazz band, however, and actually a pep band typically as well, and that we do incorporate guitar in both of those groups. Most students who play guitar have learned a bit on their own or with a private teacher before playing. And so hopefully that answers your question. And if you have any more, definitely email me, or I'm available throughout the night.
There are a few questions, Dr. Birdie, about lockers. Some of them are for next year. Some of them are regarding COVID and this year. So, you know, if you want to kind of talk about that a little bit and how we did change a little bit because of COVID, but there are students that are provided lockers based on need.
Absolutely. So that's a great question, and I think a common misnomer amongst the community. So at this point, lockers are available to all students upon request. Typically, the students that are requesting those lockers are, so for instance, in the fall, we had a number of Mrs. Schaefer's field hockey players requesting lockers. You know, it's cumbersome and burdensome to walk around the building with a field hockey stick all day. So our fall athletes were some of the first to request lockers. But it is true that it was a mitigation strategy utilized as we returned to school, because one of the things that we prioritized in terms of overall safety and well-being of students was really to try to reduce hallway congregation. Anyone who's ever been a middle school student, or anyone who's ever been, been issued a locker, knows that it becomes almost like a water cooler opportunity for children, where there's a lot of congregating around lockers. So it was a mitigation strategy used at all three middle schools in September to reduce the amount of hallway traffic, the amount of stopping in hallways, and truthfully, the amount of student congregation in order to keep kids socially distanced and move them quickly to classes. At this point, we've had a number of requests, for lockers for a litany of reasons. But at this point, students are being offered lockers at the request, either at their request or at the behest of their parents. So we do have students, although a small number, most kids have realized that they can survive without a locker. That they don't need a locker. They're good without it. But we do have a number of students, a fraction of our population that certainly are issued lockers, and it's truthfully not been an issue for congregating in the hallway. It's just become sort of the way we handle business, and kids recognize that when bells ring, they should be moving expeditiously regardless. So it's a great question. I've got one here about, it talks about, spirit weeks and dress up weeks and things like that. It reminds me of all of the great work done by our SAC, Mrs. Spencer. And I know she's often busy working on some of our week of respect, our week of kindness. And again, all of the amazing things we've done here in terms of, the social and emotional needs of children of this age range. So I'm going to let Mrs. Spencer talk a little bit about some of the wonderful programming that she's been a part of.
Thank you, Dr. Birdie. next week actually is our Random Act of Kindness Week, and it is an absolute collaborative effort between our student organizations, Student Council, Junior National Honor Society, our Pride Club, where we will be doing activities all week long, whether it be intimate activities in your advisory class, where you look at videos and talk about contributions that people have made and acts of kindness that they've shown, but we just don't show kindness at 1 week out of the year at Carusi. We are kind every day. We walk in as proud Mustangs, looking at our mission to be responsible, kind, and caring. I also am the anti-bullying specialist, so I provide programming on respect and ways to keep yourself healthy and safe, and how to be a good friend, how to make friends, how to be a good friend. And it's a pleasure to watch you grow through your middle school years. So I look forward to seeing all of you when you arrive at our doors at orientation.
Dr. Birdie,
Yes.
there were, oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, go ahead, Ms. Smith. Yep.
There were a couple questions about transportation, whether it be pickup times for busing, bus stops, adjustments made to bus stops, and that would really be a question parents who are asking them for our transportation department. So there will be bus schedules that come out and, you know, before the school year starts with the pickup time and the bus stop, but any specific individual questions about transportation can be addressed to our central office transportation department.
Yep, thanks, Ms. Smith. And I do believe that just like fifth grade parents, you're very used to logging into Genesis to get your teacher assignments in August. I believe that information is available in the same format and around the same time. So you'd be able to log in there. There's a boss letter. And I believe that tells you the exact intersection, the exact location of your pickup, and the exact time for your bus route. I saw a question about how many periods we have each day, right? Currently, we have 8 periods a day. Each of our students take 4 classes on house. That's science, math, social studies, and language arts. You take health and PE. You take world language. You take an exploratory. You have a lunch period. And then we have an advisory period, which is an extended homeroom that teachers use for a variety of reasons, including academic intervention, academic extension, and also to really focus on some of our character initiatives and really when we talk about soft skills and communication skills, critical thinking, problem solving, all of the things that we know are critical for this age group and really to be successful going forward, that students need to practice, just like they practice times tables or writing for author, writing for audience, etc. I think that's a good segue into some of one of our academic points of pride, which is our National Junior Honor Society. Mrs. Schaefer, I think if you're good, we can maybe talk a little bit about what that is, how that works, and how students qualify.
Sure, thanks, Dr. Birdie. We are really proud of our National Junior Honor Society here at Carusi. It is for 8th graders only, and membership is based on your academic record from 7th grade, which we try to prepare you for in 6th and 7th grade. The pillars of the National Junior Honor Society are scholarship, as I mentioned, which is the academic piece. We really focus on service, leadership, character, and citizenship. So the National Junior Honor Society has all kinds of service projects throughout the year. We coordinate with Mrs. Spencer, with the peer leaders. We're a big part of our character ed initiative at Carusi, and it's really a prestigious club that many students can apply for and be a part of. So that happens at the end of 7th grade, but we really like to introduce it to students so that they know that that's something that they should work hard and aspire to as they begin their academic career at Carusi.
Thank you, Bridget.
Thanks, Mrs. Schaefer. Oh, I was mute. 2 years later, I should know how to take myself off mute. Thank you, Mrs. Schaefer. I see a question in here about IEPs. So yes, we recognize that students will be joining us with both 504 plans and IEP plans. I think Mrs. Morris, our 6th grade case manager, is probably best equipped to describe that process and really the support that's in place for our classified students.
Sure, I'd be glad to. So I believe the question spoke to how often do we meet. So let me start there. There is an annual review at least once a year. So that's the minimum that we would meet. But Carusi is fortunate enough to have a full-time child study team in the building full-time. So we are available to meet as we need, and we stay in constant contact. We meet with the house teachers weekly. The guidance counselor, Mrs. Brown, and I work very closely, and we rotate with our caseloads so that we are with you for 3 years. So we get to know you very well. We get to know your students' needs very well. So at a minimum, it's once a year, but we will be glad to meet anytime we really need to. I also have gotten myself invited to 5th grade IEP meetings. So I will be participating in as many as I can virtually and hope to meet you face to face, and will gladly answer any very specific questions at those meetings. But to speak just generally, you know, we have general education programs which are supported with inclusion, which is team taught by a general education teacher and a special education teacher. We have opportunity for some small group instruction in what we call our resource rooms. Based on student need, you could be in some resource, you could be in some inclusion. It really kind of depends. And I think that's kind of just the general picture. But again, I'm available to answer any specific questions.
Dr. Birdie, I can just speak real quickly about 504 plan, since it kind of piggybacks onto the IEPs. If your student does have a 504 plan in elementary school, they generally are either hand carried to me from the counselor from the elementary school over to me, but they are also available for viewing in our Genesis system. The plans are reviewed once they get to the middle school level. We generally do those meetings in the early fall, usually around October-ish, because they need to be reviewed and somewhat revised oftentimes just to make sure they are feasible for the middle school schedule. The middle school schedule runs a little bit differently than, you know, the elementary school. So some of the accommodations may not be as appropriate for the middle school level. So we generally sit with the parent and the now parent teachers at the middle school level to discuss what accommodations would be best to serve the child here at this level. And the plan is, as I said, revised or rewritten for that, for those specific needs. And we usually visit that yearly. And also documentation for the diagnosis is also required for the 504 plan to be written.
There are a couple questions about 6th grade and this trip that 6th graders go on. That's kind of a big deal, called Mount Misery. So we saw a couple questions about that. So in the past few years, Mount Misery has been modified or did not exist because there were no trips. This year, there is a plan to do a mini trip to Mount Misery for students who may have not had that opportunity in 6th grade, who currently are potentially 8th graders right now and 7th graders. So we are doing daily trips to get all Carusi students the experience. And moving forward, you know, I know the plan is to continue to work with the people over at Mount Misery to give our Carusi students that experience as 6th graders. So maybe one of our 6th grade teachers can kind of talk briefly about what that Mount Misery experience might look like to a student.
So I am actually a Cherry Hill graduate. So I got to attend Mount Misery when I was in 6th grade, when it was still in the elementary schools. So I was very delighted when I came to work at Carusi to know that I would now be on the other end of it as a teacher and kind of see the behind the scenes of everything. It is typically 4 days. We would leave on a Tuesday and come back on a Friday. We spent a couple nights out there. The house teachers work together to place your child in cabins and dining table arrangements, as well as activity groups. And the schedule is kind of like an outdoor school. We would wake up, we would have breakfast together, kind of go about our schedule, make sure that our accommodations are clean and organized before we start our day. And we typically have a morning activity that lasts about an hour and a half to 2 hours, and then an afternoon activity with some free playtime at the basketball court or the Gaga court that they have there. In between the activities and in between lunch and dinner. And typically we would also have some nighttime activities after dinner that I'm not going to share because we like to have them be surprises for the kids. But that is our typical week. It is long, but it is fun, and it is filled with memories that will last a lifetime. And we are definitely, as a 6th grade team, hoping that we can get back there one day.
Thanks, Ms. Jacobs. There are a few questions. There is a super active 5th grader. I'm getting a lot of questions, and I love that. How many periods do we have? We already answered that one. Can we eat in our rooms, in our teachers' rooms? So that's something that we're doing now, and we're being super careful with that. We are allowing teachers to have working lunches with students. We're making sure that we're following safe practices for social distancing. We really want to be careful, but that is typically something that has existed here for a really long time at Carusi, where students who need extra help, they need either help with their homework or help with something they don't understand, or just a little bit of extra time in a content area. So working lunches are definitely a thing. There is a question here about phones. So we have red zones and green zones, very similar to elementary school. And typically green zones are when we're allowing students to use their phone for instructional purposes. So we do ask that when kids are in classes, when kids are in the hallways, when kids are in the cafeteria, we ask that they stay off their phones, they keep them away, they keep them out of sight. We recognize that the majority of 5th graders will come to us, or a good number of 5th graders will come to us with a phone. We recognize that you may need that phone so you can get picked up at the end of the day, or if you're a walker, or if you're checking in on a younger brother or sister, or you're checking in with an older brother or sister. We recognize that kids have phones for lots of different reasons. We just ask that when you come here, once you're here, you turn it off or put it on vibrate or silent, keep it in your backpack, and that we don't hear it or see it. That's our rule on technology. Good questions, Danica. Actually, Danica, have your principal send me an email. We'll send you a Carusi t-shirt for all your activity in the chat. Let's get her a t-shirt. So Danica, you have your principal. I don't know what school you go to. You have your principal email me tomorrow morning, and we'll get you a Carusi t-shirt for all your great questions. Ms. Smith, I see a question about math. I think it's a question about math levels. I think you're probably best equipped to handle that one.
So the question talks about whether math is accelerated in the middle school. So our 6th grade group is heterogeneously grouped. So all of our 6th grade students have the same level, but it is accelerated within the classroom. So teachers identify students and kind of meet students where they are and provide the students what they need. If we find a student who is a high flyer who needs additional enrichment, that acceleration will happen within the classroom from the classroom teacher. After 7th grade, we do differentiate into different levels and classes. So we do, by the end of 8th grade, have students that could be taking algebra actually in 7th grade and geometry in 8th grade. And we have students who could take algebra 1 in 8th grade, which are high school level courses that we do offer at the middle school level. So we keep a careful eye on our students and their progress, and we identify those students that we see have that knack and that math ability, and we make sure that we put them in the best place where they could find success, and we accelerate them if they can be accelerated. Absolutely.
All right, I've got a question here about classes being integrated or being pull-out like elementary school. I'm gonna take this one, Mrs. Morris, although I think if she turned her mic on, she would say that the answer to that question is that it depends. We are equipped to meet the needs of the children who attend, and the programs here, because we do offer a continuum of services ranging from self-contained to resource replacement pull-out, to in-class support, in-class co-teaching, the co-teaching model. So we've got classrooms to meet a variety of needs, and that is dependent upon the IEP that you'll leave fifth grade with.
I would like to add to that, though, Dr. Birdie, the idea of pull-out doesn't really exist in middle school because you're in an 8-period day, or, you know, as the periods change, you're not removed from anything. You just go to your next period class, which could be a large class or a small class. So you're not being pulled from anything. Your language arts might be a small group class, and your math, science, and social studies might be a large group class. But as the bell changes, you would as well.
Great point. I appreciate you adding that. I've got one here about advice for an incoming sixth grader. How should we prepare for middle school? Ms. Jacobs, I think this one might be good. Oh, am I catching you off guard? This might be good for you, Ms. Jacobs. What would you tell a sixth grader as they prepare to come to middle school? What do they need to know? What should they be ready for?
It is a different pace. Obviously, you get to move during the day. So be ready for that. And I would just say maybe hone up a little bit on your organizational skills because of the fact that you are moving and you're going to have a lot of teachers. And every teacher might have a certain way that the class is run or a certain way that the materials are organized, which you'll get a supply list that will be posted on the website just to kind of practice that organization piece. Also, I think be willing to try anything. What you're going to experience coming to middle school is an opportunity to meet students from the surrounding elementary schools. So you'll meet them in your classes. And then another way to meet them, if they're not on your house, which I think there was a question about how the houses work. Right now there's 3 houses. So if they're not on your house and you don't see them in your classes, another way to meet other sixth graders would be to join a club or try out for a sport or get involved in some other way. So just kind of be willing to put yourself out there, to try new things, to meet new people and have conversations and share who you are with others.
If I can just add to that, excellent points, Ms. Jacobs. And when we go to visit the fifth graders, excuse me, that organization piece is a big part of our discussion. Organization, time management, and it really comes down to each student kind of finding a system that works for them. You know, elementary school, sometimes students kind of breeze through and then they come to middle school and it's a little bit different because the pacing is a little bit different. The school day is a little bit more active. So they're a little more tired and such as they roll through until they become used to the transition from elementary to middle school. So finding something that works for you, you know, I feel like I'm going to say this, in the old days, we used to use a homework planner, you know, where we would write things and but now it seems like, you know, devices and we have the luxury of everything provided on the computer and the Google Classroom where everything is posted. So it's very convenient to stay on target with your classes. And the one thing I can say is keeping up with assignments is crucial so that you don't kind of dig yourself into a hole of getting behind. That's probably a key factor to being successful as a middle school student. And love the part about getting involved, kind of taking a little bit of a risk. We always say when we visit the fifth graders in your elementary school to take at least one risk in your sixth grade year and do something, whatever it may be. Try to participate in one activity and see how it feels because it connects you to the school much more quickly, and it makes it more fun. You know, your school day is a lot more fun when you've met people and that you're having fun and sharing experiences with them.
Yeah, that is terrific advice from both Ms. Jacobs and Mrs. Brown. Nothing makes us happier than to walk around this building at 10 after 3, and there are still hundreds and hundreds of Mustangs here participating in all of our after-school activities, right? So again, a time of exploration and pursuing your passion and figuring out what gives you pleasure and what you enjoy and what things you like, and making new friendships and meeting new people. So great advice from both of the ladies. Thank you. I know the notion of houses has come up a couple times, and I just feel like it may still be unclear what a house is. So Ms. Smith, will you just talk a little bit about what the house structure is here and what that allows us to do when kids are assigned to houses?
Sure. So our 6th grade teachers alluded to this. Ms. Jacobs just talked about it. So basically a house is comprised of, you know, your teachers. You would have 4 content area teachers. You would have your math, your ELA, your science, and your humanities teachers all in a house. And then let's say, just to make a number easy, 100 students would be on a house, and they might go to different exploratories or world languages or different things like that. But, you know, basically your house is really like a small mini family within the large family of Carusi, where the teachers kind of plan different things together. The teachers collaborate on assignments maybe together. So maybe the science and the math teacher might work together to do something that involves, you know, some kind of scientific approach, and then they start incorporating fractions. So, you know, not only do the students really spend a lot of time together, but your teachers spend a lot of time together, right? And so the common goal is for your teachers and the students, this family, to build each other up and make sure that that family is successful together. So a lot of things are done through houses. You know, when we used to have more competitive events like Spirit Week, houses would always play a factor, grade levels would always play a factor. And then it becomes, you know, trying to beat the other house because you have that, you know, family and that competitive piece where you're trying to, you know, rise each other up. So the houses are really, really great here at Carusi.
All right, I've got 2 related questions, I think. One is about physicals. I'm just looking back. I know there's a lot of questions in the chat, so I'm just trying to look back and see which ones we missed. There's a question about physicals. So just in terms of physicals, they're good for 1 calendar year, and we will send a note out. Our nurse, Michelle Taylor, will send a note out in August to all of our families, just reminding kids that if you're interested in our fall sports, which start early in September, that physicals can be turned in as early as August. All of the paperwork and all of the requirements will be pushed out in that email. It will tell you exactly what you need to do. And the submissions are made through Genesis. So that's all done online. And again, a very detailed email comes out from our nurse and our health office in concert with our athletic director, making sure that anybody who wants to participate has that information in advance. But certainly 1 calendar year for a physical. We recognize that you're not going to get a physical every 90 days or every 60 days as sports change. So that is something, if you have specific questions, you can contact our school nurse here any day of the week. The other one was about late buses. We do run late buses daily. So we have late buses that leave school. Our dismissal, I think I mentioned earlier, our dismissal is at 3 p.m. And then we have sports and clubs and activities that run well into the evening. We do run late buses to make sure that we can provide transportation for those students who would not be able to otherwise participate. And those buses leave at 4:30 daily. So many of our clubs or our activities will have a 4:30 end time, so those students can take the late bus home. That's all information that kids will get as they come in September. We have a lot of adults helping on those first few days of school with transportation and with questions related to, where do I get off the bus? Where do I go when I get off? How do I get on a late bus? Those are very, very typical 6th grade questions that we answer readily for the first few weeks of school. And sports, I just got one that just came in. Sports typically start the first full week of school we'll have our fall Meet the Coaches night. It'll be a parent orientation that'll give you a chance to meet all of our fall coaches and hear about those sports. And then our practices start after that night, after that night's been conducted. Whew. A lot of information. It was a jam-packed hour. The clock, my clock says 8:01. I want to thank everyone in attendance tonight. Thank each of you and your families for tuning in. It means a lot that you're here to ask questions and learn more about our school, because it may already be our school, but certainly for those of you who do not yet have children here, in September it will be our school for sure. I would also like to thank my esteemed colleagues for giving of their time and more importantly of their expertise and answering all of the questions that came through tonight. Should you have questions that remain unanswered, should you need more information, again, Mrs. Brown will be setting up those visits in the near future at each of our elementary schools. Keep your eyes and ears open for the August orientation information, and certainly feel free to contact us here in our main office should you have pressing questions that are specific to you or your family. Other than that, I appreciate everybody tuning in. Have a great night. We'll see everybody soon.